everybody. We're back again in the living room, and I've got a viewing on Saturday, so it's quite important that this new bathroom curtain gets finished. So thought I'd do it kind of a bit like not a tutorial, because I don't really want to do tutorials on this bit of where we're chatting, but I'm going to kind of talk you through it. So cheers to you all this morning. Rosie's fast asleep in her bed as normal. I think she sleeps about 80% of the day now, but she's an old lady, so she's allowed, and she's just lying in a big pile of blankets in her big squashy bed, and happy bunny. So what I did yesterday, I decided, rather than faffing around just cutting squares, because that's not really interesting to watch, I would cut out the main squares. So I've cut out some main 12.5-inch squares of the primary fabrics, the ones that I had a lot of. And then what I've done is taken scraps. So at the moment it's pinned onto the old curtain, just so that I could get an idea, because I wanted to know the size. So if I hold it up, it's I've tried to randomise it as much as possible without making it look too bonkers. So now what I've got to do is work out the strips, that, because I think it'll work out roughly in 4 strips, but this side is slightly more complicated than that side. So I'm going to unpin it, but pin them to their pieces that they're going to, and hopefully not get myself into too much of a pickle. I'm only going to pin them roughly because I'll work out the 1/4 inch seam allowances once I'm actually sewing. I've got a 1/4 foot on my machine, and I am going to do these on the sewing machine rather than by hand, just for speed really. Generally, if I've got straight lines, I do them on the machine. If I've got something a bit more interesting, or when I'm doing block quilting and things like that, then I tend to do them on by hand. See, this one's a little complicated because it's not quite even, because what I've done is I've jumped across and stepped it. So I need to work out what I need to stitch together in order to create the piece. So I think it'll be those 2 pieces will work. So it's creating, what I'm doing is taking all of the components and then working them into larger pieces that will then sit and stitch together. So for example, he's still attached, that piece can sit completely together. This piece here is still attached to the thing, but I think that will go in a long strip. This, however, will not. So that piece needs to be attached to that. You can't really see what I'm doing now, can you? Hold on, let's do these top pieces first. So those 2 will sit together, and where are we going here? So those will, it's not the most straightforward thing to do. There's a kind of a strip down the side that can get stitched together. Yeah. Let's trying to not lose the plot with it. So I know that piece is going at the top, so I'm going to try and lay it out on the sofa behind me a little bit. Let's move the blanket out of the way. And see whether I can work out what's going where. Alright, let's take these off. That strip, oops, we're still attached. Put another pin in there. That strip will go in there. This is where I need a design board on the wall, isn't it? That would be a really helpful addition, but it won't happen here. I am hoping that I might be able to do it when I get on the boat, to be fair. So these two pieces can go together. I'm only pinning them very, very roughly because I'm not pinning right sides together or anything like that. I'm just literally pinning them as they sit. That piece will go. Oh, where did that piece come from? Oh, third one down. Right, that's that one. Okay, there. That piece and that piece, so that's a nice straight run. Going down from there. And then the only downside of sewing on an ironing board, isn't it? You just don't have the space. But you know, I've had to go back to this at the moment because I'm sorting out the barn, and there's no way that there's enough space in there at the moment to do any of this. So it's back on the old ironing board again, which I'm fine with. I've been sewing on an ironing board, as you know, for the longest time, and actually it's so useful because you can pin things to it. So those three little pieces will go together and make one piece. That will go there, and then I've got a piece here which will go below. And then I've got a little random piece here which has to go onto that one there. That will go down that strip there. Oops. And then this one, this is an odd one because it's got an L on it. So I think what I'm going to do is stitch. Let's have a think now. I don't like stitching L shapes, so but there's not much I can do about that. So those can go to, oh actually no, that's okay, I don't have to, that's all right. Let's just detach these from the old curtain, and then the old curtain can get folded up and that can go in a box to go to the boat, and then it will be something on the boat, but I haven't decided what yet. What I'm trying to do is organise myself so that I've got the stuff to go on the boat goes into cardboard boxes, and the things to go into storage go into, oh actually I need to stitch those together first anyway, so the things that are going into storage are going into sealed plastic boxes, and then I know exactly which is going where. So it's kind of sort of like a system, because the stuff that's going to storage will end up in the cottage that I get up north. Right, so I think that's kind of, I've got a bit of a plan. So bye bye lovely mad curtain. That'll either become another curtain or it'll be something. I might just make some bonkers cushions for the bow or something for it out of it. That'd be quite fun, wouldn't it? Some funky cushions on the front for when we can sit out there in the summer. So that can get folded up. And then that's that for now. Done. That was my postman. So I'm just chain stitching stuff together at the minute. Oh dear, next door's dog's shouting. It saves time and it saves thread. But it's a bit like a giant jigsaw puzzle, so I'm having to keep an eye on what's going next to what at the minute. And I can't stitch too fast because the sewing machine bounces if I do it too quickly, so I have to kind of bide my time with this. So I'm just trying to make sure that I don't get the wrong bits stitched to the wrong bits at the moment. So it's quite a challenge to get it all in the right place, but it's okay. Rosie's decided to wander around under my feet, which is pretty just not very sensible. Hello, have you decided to help me? Have you? I'm using the little machine I take to class because I don't really like to put the big heavy ones up on here. So this one's ideal. It's a little baby Janome. And I'm using my old favourite, which is the grey Gutermann cotton, because grey just disappears. It's great, really. Now, where did that bit go? That bit went somewhere. Oh, there. And there. I think that's right. Oh. It's all good fun. Yeah, so it's jigsaw puzzle time. I'm not actually using the iron at all at the minute. I'm just finger pressing, but I'm pinning the seams over to the dark side. So although I'm not pressing to the dark side, I'm pinning over. So I'd like to have the same kind of stained glass window effect, but it probably won't be as dramatic as the other one was. So I can't really, well, I can bunny this, but I haven't got a bunny with me, so I'm just cutting thread. I'm a bit naughty because I tend to I stick the pins into the ironing board. I know that at some point the ironing board will give up on me because it will hate me for doing it, but just make sure that seam's the right way round. I do it with all of them though, and then eventually they just end up with so many pinholes in them that they fall to pieces. And I just have to get another one. But the last one, I don't know whether you remember, it was a really hideous thing with blue and white shirts all over it, and I hated it, but it literally did fall apart. It just ended up with loads of holes. Right, now have I got any that I can, oh yes I have. This one I can chain on. So I'm not too far off now. I'm going to carry on just stitching these little bits and pieces together, and then I'll come back and have a look and see what it looks like once it's all pinned up. So I'll just carry on chain stitching these. So, second cup of tea. So what I've done now, oh, that's nice, is I've stitched it all together, and I now need to press it, make sure that all the seams are going in the right direction, and then trim it to size because the edges aren't all where they should be. And then I just want to double check by matching it onto the old curtain and make sure that the size is exactly what I want. And then I've got a decision to make, because part of me would quite like to back it with a plain fabric and then top stitch along all of the seams. It might be quite interesting to do that. I'll use the voile for something else, because the voile doesn't really work in the utility room. It looks a bit bedroomy. I feel like it needs to have something a little bit more sturdy, maybe. But it needs to be plain because I want the seams to show through when the light comes through it. So, so I'm going to give it a press, and then I think what I'm going to do is go out to the barn and just go find a selection of fabrics, or maybe I just back it with the white, or maybe I back it with the grey. I'm going to back it with the grey. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. So let's press all these seams where they need to be. I've oopsed on one of them there. Oh well, never mind. I want one of those irons that you can put down and it goes up on legs. I hanker after one of those. It would be really lovely. Make life so much easier. I will give this an absolute final press once it's all put together, but you know, when the backing's on and everything. But I just want all the seams in the right place. And the other thing that I've got to do is grade the seams. So when the sun shines through them, I don't want thick and thin. I want them all to be fairly uniform. So I need to go through and grade all the seams, make sure that they're all the same 1/4 inch, because some of them are slightly bigger or slightly smaller. Oh, turned that one over the other way as well. Never mind. Oh dear, I've done it there as well. Don't do as I do. Don't do as I say. No, do as I say, not as I do. Is that the right way round? Is that the right saying? Don't do as I do as I say. Yeah. Yeah, I should have been double checking. I was better the second half of stitching it together because I was actually pinning them where they needed to be. The first one I was just buzzing along, merrily enjoying myself. And not really concentrating on what I'm supposed to be doing, so it didn't really mean a lot to me in the beginning. It kind of does now. I like it more than I thought I would. I didn't really think I'd like it, which is part of the reason why I kind of la-la'd along. But actually, I think I was a bit fed up because I liked the other one. As mad as it was, I was thinking, oh, it's a bit sad now because the bathroom's just going to be a bit bland. But actually, I quite like this one now. Funny, isn't it? It kind of grows on you. Projects tend to do that. And this was something that was quite ad hoc, really. It wasn't particularly planned, but it ended up being planned. Hello, can I help you? Rosie doesn't like the sewing machine. So when I'm sewing, she wanders around like a lost soul. And we've already been in the garden twice, and she's a bit antsy at the minute. And it's just because she's quite fearful of things that sound like machinery. So I've been doing lots of biscuits with her while we've been doing this. So she's full of biscuits. But it's a funny one. She's settled down now out the back. It's a funny one. I've had her for nearly 4 years now. And when she first came here, she was pretty terrified of everything. She didn't like anything that sounded like metal noises. She will actually now eat out of a metal bowl, but she wouldn't do that when I first had her. She doesn't like them particularly, but she does have them for camping because they're easier than china bowls. So she's got used to them, but I wouldn't say she's a massive fan. But there are certain things, even as deaf as she is now, that seem to kick her off, and the sewing machine, oddly, is one of them. And I mean, you'd think she'd be used to it, but this is the thing where people say, oh, just keep going, they get used to it. When dogs have trauma, they really don't. You just keep triggering them. And there are certain things that you can work on and counter condition, but there are certain things that they just won't get over. It's a bit like somebody saying to me, oh, I'll put spiders all over you, you'll get used to it. I wouldn't. I don't like spiders. I mean, I do. I like spiders. I just don't want them on me. But if somebody put a tarantula on me, I wouldn't sit there going, oh yeah, that's all right. I'd be a basket case. So I get it, you know, you can't love everything, and some things are just too deep rooted. And I think wherever she was before she was adopted out, before Kelpie Welfare had her, and she lived with a lovely old couple before me, who loved her dearly, but they didn't really work on any of her issues. So when she came to me, they were still very, very deep rooted, and that's just, you know, it's just the way it is sometimes with dogs that have a previous history, and it's something that, it's the reason why I adopt dogs, and I generally adopt the ones that I can see possibly have issues. She didn't really have many. She was pretty okay, but she was more fearful than she was reactive. So she tends to shut down rather than react. So she wants, if she's frightened of something, she'll just move away. So she's just taken herself off to the back doormat. She'd rather be there in case that evil sewing machine starts making loud noises again, which is not going to now because I've stopped. But she's happier at a distance. So, which way up is it? This way up. So if I hold it up, there we go. So that's kind of what it'll look like. But what I want to do now is just double check it against the original curtain, which I beautifully folded up. Should have known. So I'll lay that out, and then I'm going to just lay this on top of it. What I should do is stitch the two of them together, and then I just choose which side to go with, but that wouldn't work really. It's that way up. I've got little birds to tell me. That's good, so that can be trimmed off. That's actually pretty good because it's going to have edging on it as well, so it's just that bottom edge that needs trimming down. The original's not that straight actually. This is not very, this is not the way you do it really. I would be measuring it and making sure that I've got it exactly right, but I can see the curtain under it. What I will do now is, now that I've got that, I'm just going to put the straight edge on it. But I know that it's the right size now, so I'll fold that up in a bit. So now I've got the right size, I'll straight edge it and just make sure that it's okay. I can't well, you know what I'm like with a rotary cutter. I've explained it before. I hate rotary cutters, they terrify me. I'm far happier with a pair of scissors. So what I will do now is my trusty friction pen is just make sure that, I thought it was a bit saggy. There we go. The other curtain was not straight at the bottom, or not straight as I'd like it to be. And obviously when it's on an ironing board it doesn't sit straight anyway, so that's better. So now I can trim it up with a nice straight edge. These are my little scissors, so they're not the best ones for these, but they fit in my little tiny sewing box. So I found a little tin box, I'll show you in a minute, in the charity shop a while back. I wanted a little sewing kit that I could take with me wherever I was going, that was all in one thing. I'll shift all these bits off it because I've been throwing rubbish in it. But this is my this is my little tin box. Is that cute or is that cute? It's a lunchbox, really. It's got farm stuff all over it. There we go. It's got tractors and cows and sheep, chickens, scarecrows. Perfect. The only thing it has, oh, milk churns. The only thing it hasn't got is a collie dog, and it really ought to have. But it makes the most perfect little sewing kit. And my smallest scissors, my little Fiskars, fit in it just perfectly. So I think that is about a little bit here that needs to come off. Oop, that's not very straight. That is a bit about it, really. Now what I can do then is I'll cut the piece that fits the back of it, and then I can top stitch on all of the seams. So where I've pressed them across, when you're patchworking you always press them to the dark side so they don't show so much. Although with this it doesn't really matter because I want the light to come through. But I'm just thinking, just to finish it off, I'll just top stitch down them and then it gives it a lovely crisp finish. And it's done. So there we go. I hold it up now, it hasn't got any wonky edges. There we go. So it's a little panel curtain, which is a lot less crazy than the other one was, I think. So I'm going to cut the back piece and then we'll do a bit of top stitching. Well, it got so warm coloured in here. It's dark now, and it was so orange that I've changed the white balance on the camera a little bit, so it's slightly more normal now. So I decided that rather than just doing one single colour, I would do stripes. So I did that. Got some pins in place at the moment. And then what I've also done is I've used the backing to edge the front, so you can see all the way around. I've just turned it over, so I cut it about 2 inches bigger than it needed to be, and I've just turned it all over now. So I've top stitched all of the seams, literally just run a very, very fine line all the way down. I used grey again because it just doesn't show up, and I'm quite pleased with it. So all I've got to do now is stitch around that edge and then hang it. So if I just put it like that, you can see, oh, there we go, I'll just hold it up. There we go. So I'm quite pleased with it, and actually when I hold it up to the light it is doing that stained glass window thing. So not obviously not as insanely insanely like the one that was there, but it is actually doing a really good job. So I'm off now to put a coat of paint on the windowsill upstairs and the desk in the spare room. I sanded it and put an undercoat layer on this morning. So I'm going to go off and finish that now. All I've got to do now is give it a press, and there we go. I'll take a photograph of it when it's hung up You can see it. It's a bit bright under the lights actually. You can't really... If I do that... Oh, that's better. You can see it a little bit better there. There we go. So, take care everyone. Bye.